And hello everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Today, of course, we've got a lot to discuss on what has happened in the UK over the last 48 hours. That includes the whole Tommy Robinson situation. We've got a bit on Peter Kyle and the Nigel Farage back and forth, whilst also going over in depth on the Online Safety Act. And if we've got enough time, perhaps we'll go through some other bits and pieces. I'm your host, Dan, and this is my co-host,
Dominic. Nice to meet you guys.
And as always, guys, just a cheeky one before we do get into it. Please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and give us your feedback in the comments as we are brand new to this game. Dom, let's get straight into it. What's coming and happening over the last, 36 hours at the time of recording this, and that's with regard to Tommy Robinson. Mm-hmm. So you've seen the footage, of course, that has been circulating on X, right?
Yes, so we've seen the fallout of what's happened, the famous video, man lying on the floor and Tommy seeming quite riled up about the situation.
And of course, now there has been a lot that's came out, of course, in the mainstream media. They're saying that he's fled the country. However, there's a bit that's not completely true. We've got a bit of a bit more story on it, a bit more scope on it from Don Keefe, one of Tommy Robinson's friends, and he kind of assesses and tells what has happened with regard to the whole situation, that Tommy was actually attacked and he didn't flee. He was already going on a scheduled holiday. But I just want to show the video again, just to have a little watch and show the viewers as well. And then we'll get into some more of the reactions. So this is, of course, what we got to see. And it's important to note that in this video, you will see the cameras up at the top there. St. Pancras Station, of course. But let's have a little watch quickly. I mean, that's all we've got, the 15-second clip.
Yeah, so it's important not to rush to judgment in viewing that clip because, if you were to take that clip at surface value, you could blame the finger and point the finger either way. Context is important with that. And do you have any more context regarding the situation?
No, there is a lot more context that's come out, but it's just the straight away the thing is, right, regard this. So, right, 15-second clip that went viral on X, and all you can hear you can clearly see Tommy Robinson saying, "He came at me, bruv, you've seen that. So it looks like he's acted in self-defense. However, the way the mainstream media have portrayed it, the way, of course, that the British Transport Police have issued their statement is that they are essentially on a manhunt for Tommy Robinson after this, and it's almost like scapegoating him as if he's just attacked this guy randomly. Now, you've probably been following Tommy for many years.
Yeah, and I don't think he's the type of person to sort of antagonise in public. He's not got the best record of backing down from situations. And I've got a lot of questions regarding this. Why is Tommy not with sort of bodyguards or security, being such a high public figure? I think that comes from his sort of upbringing as well.
Yeah.
Maybe seen that as a sign of weakness, but when situations do arise like this, he's definitely not one to back down.
No, that's what I mean. I don't understand. I think the context of the story was he was at St. Pancras Station handing out leaflets ahead of the 13th of September. And doesn't have any security or anything like that, which I find super crazy. He's got a lot of people that love him, a lot of adoring fans, but also equally at the same time, he's probably public enemy number one, and he will have a lot of haters. And these situations will probably bound to happen all the time. Now, it's been 36 hours, and this is what I wanted to ask you, right? St. Pancras Station, probably the most surveillance place in the whole of the United Kingdom. I mean, in this video here, the freeze frame, you can already see a camera there at the top.
Yeah.
Why has all of the footage not yet been released by the police and the mainstream media? The footage is there. So if Tommy says what he's saying, it was acting in self-defense, which I do think it is. Obviously, there would be an investigation ongoing. The footage is already there that would back up that claim if that was the case, right?
That's correct. Yeah. I mean, what the public has right now is just the 15-second clip that we've just seen. And that is, it might paint Tommy in a sort of a negative light. But really, if the public and the media wanted to post that CCTV footage to sort of, create Tommy in an innocent light, they could do that as well. It seems intentional that they're not.
Do you think it's all ahead of the 13th of September?
I think it is.
Try and stop it going ahead, get him into jail.
Yeah, I think they're trying to stop it. The public are upset They're upset at the country, and they're going to show their voices on the 13th of September. I know personally a lot of people that are going to that rally as well, people that have never been to rallies before. What you're going to see is a mass demonstration.
Crazy. Right. So Tommy hasn't yet. He's very public on his X. I mean, he's posting all of the time on there, right? But he hasn't made a response to this. But what he has done, though, is if I get the image up here. Sorry, wrong one. If I get the image up here, you'll see that he retweeted this. He reposted this from Dom Keith, who Dom Keith is one of Tommy's friends, and we'll get to the video in a moment. But he basically said this along with the video. I've spoken with Tommy Robinson about the incident at St. Pancras Station. Here's what I know. The media is lying to you about Tommy Robinson fleeing the country, just like they did when he went on vacation during the Southport riots. The man who suffered the injuries at the station during the altercation told Tommy he was intoxicated and was warned roughly 5 times before Tommy told him to leave him alone, but proceeded to aggressively rush him anyway. There is 100% more video footage that vindicates Tommy. This was then accustomed with this video that explains it from Tommy's side.
So I want to give you guys a really quick update on the situation involving my friend Tommy Robinson. I can tell you the story is this. The gentleman who suffered the damage in that situation was the aggressor. Tommy was 100% in the right. He was defending himself. The guy came up to Tommy very aggressively, squaring up to him with clenched fists. Tommy warned him repeatedly, at least 5 times, asking him to go away and leave him alone. The guy then admits to Tommy that he was drunk. So the guy had been drinking. He was intoxicated. And he proceeded to antagonize Tommy, to follow him. That's when they got to the top of the stairs, and the guy comes at Tommy again, very aggressively rushing him, and Tommy defended himself. Now, the media is out there with tons of reports saying, oh, reports were made to police about, an altercation at the station. What they didn't tell you, it was Tommy who reported it. Tommy called the police after this incident happened. So they're withholding the truth from you guys. They haven't released the footage from those security cameras. If you watch the video in the ceiling, there's those globe security cameras. So you know the rest of the footage is out there. And regardless of whether they give you that footage or not, I can tell you with 100% certainty there is other video footage out there that vindicates Tommy Robinson and corroborates his side of the story. And this deal about him fleeing the country, just like they did in Southport, they said he fled the country. That was bogus. We know that. He had a planned vacation with his family. You don't plan a vacation to another country in a day's time. That vacation had been planned for months. I spoke with Tommy about that vacation long before he went during those Southport riots. They're doing the same thing here. Tommy has work obligations. That's why he's not in the country. They want you to believe that he's fleeing from justice. That's not the case. So don't believe anything you hear in the media. The truth will come out. And if you happen to be a witness out there who saw this and you think you're going to lie about Tommy Robinson, if you're the government and you think you're going to lie about Tommy Robinson, I can tell you with 100% certainty there is footage out there that's going to vindicate him and it's going to prove you all to be liars. So be careful what you say.
So there you go. That was then reposted. That video was then reposted by Tommy Robinson.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's his side of things.
I don't think his close friends, or I don't think Tommy would even sort of say these things if they weren't true, you know?
No, absolutely.
And the fact that they're the ones calling for the release of the CCTV footage probably means that he's innocent in the situation.
No, exactly. My only thing would be is that, of course, everyone's using the term self-defense, right? And that absolutely, if someone's coming at you, then you should be able to use, someone's going to attack you, then of course you should be able to fight back, essentially. But the thing is, what I've always seen with self-defense is that sort of key word, proportionate. What would be proportionate in the eyes of that situation? So they could probably get him on something else. What did he actually do? To be KO'd. He probably just banged him out and that was it, right? It was just one punch and then knocked out. But then they would probably look at it and go, well, was that proportionate? Was that proportionate amount of self-defense? And you've got to remember, the establishment are after him.
Exactly.
And he's public enemy number 1. And they'll probably do absolutely anything to try and not have him there on the 13th of September.
Exactly. I mean, if we look at Tommy's track history with the government, and sort of skewing and lying in relation to sort of controlling his discourse, they will look for any reason in order to stop him from being at the march on September 13th.
Well, keeping on to I suppose, the theme of the establishment, and I mean, the Online Safety Act. We spoke about it briefly, of course, in the last episode. However, there's been some more, talking. Obviously, Peter Kyle, the Labour MP, has came out and blasted Nigel Farage in a weird video and stated because he wants to repeal the Online Safety Act, he's essentially a supporter of Jimmy Savile. How absolutely sick and disgusting. So I want to watch that footage quickly. And then I know that you've got something where you want to dive deep into this Online Safety Act and really expose what it means for your freedom of speech.
That's correct. Yeah, I've done a very deep dive into the situation, so I can't wait to sort of unravel some bits and bobs regarding that. But yeah, let's get into the video.
Yeah.
I see that Nigel Farage is already saying that he's going to overturn these laws. So, we have people out there who are extreme pornographers, peddling hate, peddling violence. Nigel Farage is on their side. Make no mistake about it, if people like Jimmy Savile were alive today, he'll be perpetrating his crimes online. And Nigel Farage is saying that he's on their side.
I'm sorry.
Not the side of children who are...
I'm going to ask you to clarify. Do you honestly think to say Nigel Farage is on Jimmy Savile's side?
When it comes to online activity, we have seen unfettered access of adults to children via social media. When we put in the age verification, it stops strange adults getting in touch with children. So make no mistake.
This is a major leap. You're going to stick to the fact that you said that Nigel Farage is on Jimmy Savile's side.
Nigel Farage is on the side of turning the clock back to the time when strange adults, strangers, can get in touch via messaging apps with children. We have now asked to age verify the age in which people can have access to online content, so we can protect children from unwanted, dangerous content, and also those messaging services where people can get access directly to it. Nigel Farage wants to turn the clock right back when all of that, I have absolutely no doubt about it, people are perpetrating more crime online, more danger to children online, and Nigel Farage has said he wants to overturn every single one of the laws that keeps children safe in our country.
It's an interesting extrapolation, but we've got your views on it. Let's quickly...
It is an interesting extrapolation of it. I mean, we spoke about this in the last podcast, and we said that, look, if it was about protecting children, then I think the far majority of people would back it.
Yeah.
But as you're going to show us now, the Online Safety Act is, of course, a guise to something far darker.
You're right. It's a massive Trojan horse. I mean, we can both sit here and agree that young children being exposed to extreme content in terms of pornography and things along those lines is a negative on society. But that's not the reason why people are upset. It's not the reason why Nigel Farage and other Reform and other members of the right wing are upset about this act. So, firstly, what people are seeing with UK laws is things like this. So here's a tweet that says, due to your local laws, we are temporarily restricting access to this content until X estimates your age. So unless you provide your identification, you will not see adult content. So the data protection considerations, so the disclosure of your ID must comply with data protection laws in the UK GDPR. However, platforms can share your personal data with authorities when required by law, which the Online Safety Act facilitates through its duties and Ofcom codes. So this is outlined in sections 40 of the Safety Act. So the Act does not spell out every detail reporting incidents. Section 40 requires Ofcom, the regulator, to issue codes of practice that the platforms must follow. These codes specify how platforms should comply with their legal content duties, including when and how to report to authorities for serious offences. The codes are likely to mandate reporting user details such as ID to the government and law enforcement. This means that if your illegal content falls into these categories, your IDs could be shared as part of the platform's legal obligations. So, firstly, they want to make sure that all anonymous accounts and personal accounts have ID verification. If you do not put your ID into these websites, things such as X, Facebook, etc., you will not see adult content. They are forcing you to provide identification. Otherwise, you will not see. They will treat you like a child. So that's the first step. They want to have your IDs tied to your social media accounts.
But what do they dictate as adult content? So are you talking just pornographic content, or are you talking about other things?
Well, that's a brilliant question. So if you scroll down to section 179, so this is one of the instances that they're sort of deeming as adult content. So criminalizing false statements causing non-trivial psychological harm. So section 179 makes it a criminal offence to send a message known to be false with the intent to cause non-trivial psychological or physical harm to a likely audience. So those reasonably foreseeable to encounter it, including through sharing. Penalties include imprisonment or fines, and here's the kicker, Dan. Okay, the offence applies even if no harm occurs, focusing solely on intent. So, if the government deems that you have intent to harm someone, yet there was no harm done, then that would fall under imprisonment or fines, and it would fall into this category of illegal content. So that includes satire, that includes political dissent, so going against the government or the effects. So we can dive into this a little bit deeper here. Obviously, non-trivial psychological harm lacks a very clear definition, makes it very subjective. Speech that is offensive, satirical, or controversial could be interpreted as harmful, threatening, and it does threaten open debate. So the focus on intent, not outcome, it forces people to self-censor themselves because they don't want their content to fall under this illegal category. So people are going to be walking on eggshells going forward because they don't know what constitutes this illegal content. You know, if you make a satirical joke about the government, is that harmful content?
Yeah.
We don't know where the line is drawn.
Well, I suppose they're making up what's harmful content and what is not harmful content.
Which brings me to my next segment. So, the Act doesn't spell out every detail of the reporting, but Section 40 requires Ofcom, the regulator, to issue the codes of practice. So, Ofcom is the one that draws the line in the sand. Mm-hmm. So, Section 44 empowers the Secretary of State to direct Ofcom, the regulator, to alter the draft codes of practice for reasons in public or policy of national security without parliamentary approval.
Yeah.
So this bypasses the bureaucracy of government. A single person can direct an Ofcom employee to change what is deemed as harmful or illegal content. This can happen at any time. It can happen any day. And the public have no idea where the line is drawn. It's basically, you know, Orwellian censorship. We don't know what is deemed as illegal content, and, you know, people are going to be self-censoring themselves to avoid this entirely. Now, threats to discourse is the major key here. A single minister can reshape online content rules by bypassing democratic debate. This lack of oversight threatens free speech by enabling rapid, unchecked censorship. So what are your thoughts on?
No, well, it's wild. I mean, I completely get why everyone's outraged. I can get why the Reform Party, especially what Nigel Farage is saying about sort of refuting this and the petition that has been going about, because it is a guise. You can certainly see that it is a guise to attack free speech. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah. And this is what the left do. They use this kind of Trojan horse tactic of saying, okay, if you don't like this bill, you're for child predators being access to children. If you don't like this bill, you want little children to have harmful content that would increase suicide rate. Well, you know, any normal person can agree that them things are bad. It's not that the public is outraged about. Mm-hmm. It's the other stuff they're sneaking in behind the bill. They're tying together. That's the issue here.
Yeah. Well, to be fair on that point, you're saying about talking about the left, it was actually the Tories that drafted this bill in the first place. And actually with the sort of outrage that we've seen, and usually the Tories have been kind of opposing absolutely everything that's come of Labour when they've been talking, I've not seen any Tory MP, like, you know, refute it.
Yeah.
But did the Tory bill mention all of this that was there? Was theirs just to stop child pornography? Was it just there to stop children watching pornography? Or was it like this as well?
Yeah,
because I've seen no reaction from the Tory party.
You're right,
whatsoever
and I think that's kind of quite incriminating if you ask me, because this bill was drafted in 2023 and has only now come into effect.
Yeah.
So you're right, this is a Tory bill. Labour did have the opportunity to amend the bill, and they haven't. So now it's come to effect in, obviously, I think it was July 25th.
So everything in here was made by the Tories. All of
That's
this
correct.
Small print.
Yeah, that's correct.
Jesus.
Yeah, so it's lose-lose in terms of the Tory and Labour sort of coalition there. You know, they both wanted this type of censorship.
Wow. That's crazy because, as I said, the Tory party have, since the sort of general election, they've sort of turned over to be the right party, if you get what I mean. They're challenging reform. They're kind of coming out with these kind of things. And usually, to be fair, I've seen the Tories, everything that Starmer's done, everything the Labour government has done since the last summer, they've opposed every single time and every single way. But this thing, they're very, very quiet about, which is very, very interesting. And it also coincides with the Parliament recess as well. You know, they're all on recess at this moment in time and not here. So we won't be hearing about it in Prime Minister's questions or anything like that. But Trump was in town. And he said this with regard to censoring the site. So he was asked by a reporter, and Trump has his own social media platform.
Of course, yeah.
And
True
this
Social.
is what Starmer was asked the question, and he refuted the claims about blocking free speech or blocking any social media site. Have a watch of this.
Mr. President, you have a successful social media site. There are new powers here to censor your site, state-mandated powers.
To censor my site?
To censor your site and
mean
Twitter
Truth?
and Facebook.
Truth?
I mean Truth. Is that okay?
Well, I don't think he's going to censor my site because I say only good things. Will you please uncensor my site?
Yeah, we're not censoring anyone. We've got some measures which are there to protect children, in particular from sites like suicide sites. We've had too many cases in the United Kingdom of young children taking their own lives, and when you look through their social media, they've been accessing sites which talk about suicide and encouraging, if you like, children down that road, and that is what we want to stop. There's nothing about censoring free speech.
But that treats all adults like children.
This country is the proud.
But that can treat all adults like
children. Free speech in this country has been for a very long time. We're very, very proud of it. We will protect it forever. But at the same time, I personally feel very strongly that we should protect our young teenagers, and that's what it usually is, from things like suicide sites. I don't see that as a free speech issue. I see that as a child protection issue.
We actually passed a bill in Congress, headed up by my wife, actually, which was to pull bad stuff out having to do with children, because it is a problem. But I cannot imagine him censoring Truth Social. This is more of a very political, and it's been a very big success.
It's not going to happen.
And I only say good things about him and his country, so if they censor me, you're making a mistake. I'm going to give my ambassador the job, make sure it's not censored. I had not heard that.
Yeah, so I think what the reporter was talking about there, treating everyone as children, was what I mentioned before when I started off about the Online Safety Act, is the fact that if you do not give your IDs to these media sites, they will treat you like children. So, Keir can say what he likes. The report is absolutely right there. People will be censored. This isn't a bill about protecting children. This is a bill about online censoring and censoring political dissent. And I do actually have another video that we can, just at the bottom actually. So this was a segment in GB News today, talking to Barry Gardiner.
Yeah, but now you've put an elite squad where people are going to think twice about putting an X post or putting a Facebook post. That's the kind of country
They're going to think
you
twice.
have created.
They're going to think twice about putting out information which will lead 13-year-old girls to commit suicide.
Then why not call it the Child Online Safety Bill? If it's just about
suicide.
children, is it just about children, or does it focus on adults?
That should be an elite squad?
Barry, does it just focus
to protect
it's not,
13-year-old
I'm sorry,
girls?
the elite squad is not about children. Actually, shall I read you the thing? An elite squad of police officers is to monitor social media for anti-migrant sentiment. I don't think 13-year-olds are engaging that. So is it also to monitor adults? Simple question, yes or no?
Yes, of course it will.
Okay, there you go.
There we go. Yeah.
Now, you put an elite...
Oh, wow.
So there you have it.
Well, he's just came clean then. So to monitor adults. Yes, of course it is. Who is that guy? Sorry, is he a Labour MP? Who is he?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I've never seen him in my life. But yeah, no. Oh, he's just come clean, hasn't he?
There you are. You know, the cat's out the bag. Not only children will be monitored, you know, all adults will be monitored with this. And as I say, you know, the regulation of what is deemed illegal content is simply put into a single hand of a minister and can change whenever they like. This is the important factor. This is going to dictate political discourse about migrants, about the issues of this country.
But why don't they? Well, they say they're doing stuff about illegal immigration and all these kind of things. Why don't they want people to have a voice on speaking up about migrants and people having a problem with it?
Simply, if you control opinions, then you control people's thoughts. And, you know, they don't like the fact that people are exercising their right to protest. They don't like the fact that more people are jumping on this sort of bandwagon. It's not really a bandwagon. It's more just people being concerned about this. Yeah.
X has been able to awaken a lot of people that may have been blind to the fact of what's going on in this country through voices like Tommy Robinson. I think last year, 2 years ago, he was, again, I think most people were like, no, he's racist when you heard the name Tommy Robinson. But then fast forward now, he's been given his voice back and you actually see him on podcasts. You're starting to think, well, a lot of people just came out and just said, no, I fuck with that. I love what he talks about and realise that they've been kind of scapegoated by the mainstream media, and actually he's not. He's speaking a lot of sense.
Exactly. And what you're seeing a lot, you know, and that's going to happen over the next 5 years, 10 years, is that mainstream media, which was historically controlled by government entities to talk about what they can and can't say, those provisions don't. They aren't the same for independent journalists, which is why you're seeing the rise of independent journalists like Tommy Robinson. Now, what this bill really is for is to put a rein on them independent journalists to try and control what they say. This is simply just government overreach.
Yeah. Well, it certainly looks like that, and the small print that you've shown us all here today definitely backs up that claim, which is a really, really scary time. I wanted to, I suppose, like, just moving on a little bit to talk about, we've got a few things to talk about, I suppose, in today's podcast. I just wanted it because we were on the Trump subject. You seen the clip of him launch an attack on Sadiq Khan? That was absolutely hilarious.
I think I have. I think I've watched it about 20 times now, but I'll happily...
we'll watch it one more time, and it's hilarious quickly.
Will you visit London during the state visit? Or are you worried?
I will. I'm not a fan of your mayor.
Why not?
I think he's done a terrible job, the mayor of London, but a nasty person.
Are you worried?
I think
he's a friend of mine.
No, I think he's done a terrible job, but I would certainly visit London. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Keir looks weak in that, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He's a friend of mine. Yeah. He's a friend of mine, yeah. But at least he does see through him and what Sadiq's all about. I think they had beef back in, 2019 or something like that. They used to have,
it goes all the way back to 16, I think.
Yeah. Loads of back and forth. But he was the one urging protests up there in Scotland for people to go out there and protest against Donald Trump without giving a significant reason. He always comes out with this sort of stuff. Oh, he's racist. He's this. You know, the argument that the far left always do is simply, if you're having a conversation, you probably had a conversation in a pub with one, and they just simply go, oh, you're racist, and that's it, trying to shut down the argument. That's what Sadiq's argument is. He's a homophobe, he's this, he's that, he's this.
In its essence, it's very reductionary to just use these sort of labels in order to sort of win arguments. I mean, there's no argument to be won. If you just call someone a racist or a sexist, you're trying to sort of disingenuise their reasoning.
Yeah.
When their reasoning could be legitimate, but yet you've put this label on them, and now you put them into a category, and then you just say, no, everyone in this category is racist or sexist, therefore I don't agree with them.
Well, it's the easiest way to shut it down, you know?
Yeah.
We could do the same thing by just saying, you stink. You're on the far left. They all look like they haven't washed. It's like just shutting down and arguing. But we all
Yeah.
like on this side of politics. We all like to have debate. We like to have
Exactly.
conversation. We like to think without being shut down. But that's usually a sign of a lack of intelligence. They've got nothing else to back up their claim. Like you always hear it around here. Like you talk about illegal immigration, and they go, "Oh, well, you're on vacation here in Bali," and then they go, "Sorry, hang on a minute. Am I losing the plot here? I've just said, oh, I'm not for illegal immigration. Have I just came over on a boat to go on vacation in Bali?" There's a difference between going on holiday, migrating legally and going somewhere legally than going there illegally. But they're so weird. It's like, you're a hypocrite for saying that. It's like, what are you going on about?
Yeah, yeah. It's just reductionary. They're just trying to like have these like gotcha moments.
Yeah.
But it's completely not the case. I mean, trust me, if you came to any of these sort of Indonesian islands without the right type of visas, you will feel the force of the law.
Yeah.
And I can't really say the same for the UK at the moment.
Well, everywhere else apart from Europe is essentially, right?
Yep.
Keeping on the left side of things, now something that we sort of correlate with the far left is, of course, the waving of Palestine flags. Now, of course, I suppose this is a sensitive subject. And to be fair, people on the right have different perspectives of what they think, choosing a side. Personally, I'm not for either side. I don't know about you.
Yep, I'm Britain first.
Yeah, Britain.
It's
Yeah,
the
right,
easiest
Britain.
way to describe it.
Yesterday, of course, Starmer came out with conditions to essentially say that they would be recognising Palestine as a state following in September. So not right away, in September, if Israel don't essentially abide by the ceasefire or something like that. We'll listen to the speech and then we can react to it. But this was sort of breaking last night. He called back Labour MPs from recess to bring this speech forward.
On the 7th of October 2023, Hamas perpetrated the worst massacre in Israel's history. Every day since then, the horror has continued. The hostages are still being held today. The Palestinian people have endured terrible suffering. Now, in Gaza, because of a catastrophic failure of aid, we see starving babies, children too weak to stand, images that will stay with us for a lifetime. The suffering must end. Yesterday, I discussed this with President Trump, and we're mounting a major effort to get humanitarian supplies back in by air, and UK aid has been airdropped into Gaza today, and crucially, by land. We need to see at least 500 trucks entering Gaza every day. But ultimately, the only way to bring this humanitarian crisis to an end is through a long-term settlement. So we are supporting the US, Egyptian and Qatari efforts to secure a vital ceasefire. That ceasefire must be sustainable, and it must lead to a wider peace plan, which we're developing with our international partners. This plan will deliver security and proper governance in Gaza and pave the way for negotiations on a two-state solution. Our goal remains a safe and secure Israel alongside a viable and sovereign Palestinian state. But right now, that goal is under pressure like never before. I've always said that we will recognise a Palestinian state as a contribution to a proper peace process at the moment of maximum impact for the two-state solution. With that solution now under threat, this is the moment to act. So today, as part of this process towards peace, I can confirm the UK will recognise the State of Palestine by the United Nations General Assembly in September, unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza, agree to a ceasefire, and commit to a long-term sustainable peace, reviving the prospect of a two-state solution. And this includes allowing the UN to restart the supply of aid and making clear that there will be no annexations in the West Bank.
Thoughts?
Thoughts? Okay, so there's lots to unpack there. I mean, Keir is trying to twist the arm of the Israeli government in order to end the blockade that is happening in Gaza right now. And I have seen some reports of the starvation that's happening in Gaza due to the lack of funding, lack of aid that's able to get there. So I think he's putting the ball in Israel's court. He's saying that there needs to be aid. There needs to be consistent aid, and there needs to be no breaking of the ceasefire as well. But I've not really decided my opinion on the situation fully.
What I've seen from the fallout of this is that the far left, the Palestine flag wavers, of course, they're outraged by this. They're saying, well, why in September? Why not now? Why are you not recognizing it now? And then, of course, the people, I suppose, like who are, centre and sort of right side of politics, or people that, I mean, the right's different because some people detest Israel on this side. Some people sympathise with Israel as well, right?
Yep.
But what I've seen with them is that they're sort of pandering to the Muslim vote, right? And this is why they're doing it. And again, they shouldn't be doing this. And I've also seen lots of arguments for the other side and saying, well, it's in Palestine, everyone's blaming Israel for blocking the aid and all of these kind of things and what we're seeing. However, actually, we donate so much money to the aid, and it goes to Hamas. And I think we researched something the other night there about all the Hamas leaders and their net worth, and I was absolutely blown away by the sheer net worth of these people that the aid and these donations go to, and it goes to their net worth. Some of them are worth $4 billion.
Yeah, I think it's the total top 4 people in who live in Palestine or identify as Palestinian have a net worth of over $11 billion. So, and a lot of this is fraud from aid.
Yeah.
Not all the aid goes directly to the people, because there are many contracts, middlemen that take a cut. So I think there was a really interesting statistic when the USAID audit happened with Doge, and it was less than 3% of the money went to the actual causes they said they were helping. The rest of it was split between middlemen and contracts. And so this is what you have to understand, that although we need aid to the people and aid to the children specifically who are legitimately innocent, a lot of this aid will go to the wrong causes. Now, I'm neither here nor there with my support or denial of Palestine. These countries have been at war for thousands of years, and it's very difficult to sort of pick a side on the issue. But I think what we need to focus on is making sure the kids do have enough resources
1,000%,
so they don't starve.
There's no doubt about that. But what I would say, just to play devil's advocate, is that they're always complaining and saying about there's a lack of food, and they show these starving pictures, but they never have a lack of ammunition.
Yeah.
So it's one of those situations that they always seem to have enough ammunition to fight and stuff like that, but not for food. So I always find that quite thing. I know, I suppose this subject is very subjective, and everyone has different thoughts and opinions on it. I see it massively, like between just friendship circles and people that you speak to. So, it's quite a delicate situation. You don't want to offend people, I suppose. But,
exactly. And I think one of the narratives that people push is that this war started on October 7th, which is a flat-out lie. The Israeli state didn't exist until the sort of late 40s, early 50s. And since then, there's been a lot of sort of illegal occupation and expansion. And at the same time, Hamas haven't really played ball either, with killing thousands of civilians. They're both sort of as bad as each other when it comes down to it. But as I mentioned before, if this aid does go to the right causes, then sure, I'm all for it. Recognizing Palestine as a state, I do agree with your opinion with that. I think he's pandering to the sort of the left woke ideology and also the Muslim vote as well, which is an interesting point, because how is the sort of this gay pride, trans sort of ideology, left wing, sort of coincide with support of Palestine.
Oh, they're a very confused bunch, the far left, isn't it? One week it's Ukraine, next week it's Palestine, the week after that is Iran. They just pick whoever the underdog is for the fight and just go with it, right? And then and that's what they do, or what's ever trendy. Most people don't even read about what the ongoings are in these certain wars and these situations, and they're certainly not educated on the matter. And I'm not saying that I am whatsoever. I'm no expert in Palestine and Israel's battle, but a lot of people that are just flying, I suppose, a certain flag don't know nothing about what they are doing, and they will also have in the same picture all their bios the Palestine flag, the rainbow flag, and then be like, yeah, well, they coincide. It was like, well, no, if you wave that flag around Palestine or Iran or whatever place you were saying, you would be thrown off a building, essentially, for those views. They do not interlock. And we see Sadiq Khan do it all the time as well. It's like, he's like talking about London being so diverse, and Trump should come see our pride marches and then come down to the Amman and then have a look how we all coincide with each other. It's like, yeah, but if you read that book, there is they certainly don't like.
No, it's like it's like it's like oil and water. They don't mix.
No, exactly.
But they're so deep in the ideology of the sort of victim mindset that whoever they deem is the victim of a sort of international crisis, a war, they will side with their opinion. And I do see Sadiq Khan mentioning this sort of rhetoric all the time. Diversity built Britain. I just don't see it.
I can't remember. I never see diversity build Britain whatsoever, did it?
No, I mean it's.
I mean, there was some migration, of course, in the late 1900s that, of course, helped build it up.
And
right?
It was like the sort of Windrush era, post-war, where it really started. But let's be honest, England peaked when it had no migration. Our empire was at its largest when it was 100% British nationals. And since then, we've seen the destruction of the empire and the destruction of our capital cities, increased crime. So I think anything but, what he's saying, I think it's the actual exact opposite. Is diversity is almost a net negative on British culture. And I think a lot of our viewers would sort of sympathise with that measure as well.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. Have you got anything else that you wanted to discuss?
No.
Today, are you all good? Are you all good with what you wanted to go through? I mean, there is so much to always talk about, to be fair. And to be fair, we are just gauging how long we can talk on a podcast. So sometimes I'm like refraining from talking about stories. I did want to talk about those stabbings that happened in London, the 4, but maybe I suppose it's we're running out of time for that because that'd be a big deep dive. Did you not hear about that one?
No, I've not heard about it yet.
Yeah, some guy stabbing 4 people in London like 2 days ago. Or the New York shooter as well in New York.
Yes.
Yeah, and they said it was a white guy, right? The CNN reported it as a white guy, and then you see the picture of the guy with the AR-15.
Yeah. And he ended up committing Sudoku on, I think it was the 33rd floor of one of these sort of finance buildings, which it's quite interesting, the floor choice.
Yeah.
But neither here nor there. All the gun measures that New York has.
Yeah.
Yet this man was able to get this gun. It just shows that, bad people will find a way. Yeah, regardless.
No, exactly. But yeah, no, I think that will probably do it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, we're going to be here every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with a new episode, just talking about sort of current affairs in the geopolitical, UK politics, whatever. In general, and as stated, we do have, as we do get momentum, we've got a lot of big ideas, like a live call-in show, which is going to be really, really entertaining to hear your guys' thoughts on the line. And then, of course, guests as well. We've drafted a shortlist, both got really good contacts, people that you will know, of course, as well. Get interviewing them as well. But you need to help support us, give us your feedback in the comments, like, subscribe, and share, and all these kind of things. But thank you for tuning in with us, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yep.